Let's change the conversation on sunscreens. Should you be looking at just the aesthetics or the ingredients at the back of the pack to kind of judge how the sunscreen is, or should you be looking at certifying bodies, certifying your sunscreen to be safe and safe for your health? Did you get your green juice with you? We're talking about sunscreens. The people who are really equipped and qualified to actually judge sunscreens are people who have studied chemistry or have studied pharmacology, which is a study of medicine, or are scientists in some way or the other. Me, as a skincare expert or as a beauty expert or somebody who is studying skin and hair care professionally, I'm not qualified to judge how sunscreen should be. And the reason for that is because sunscreen is not a cosmetic, it's a drug, it's a medicine. The only way that I can judge sunscreen is whether it is aesthetically applicable to you or not. Does it give you a white cast or not? Which is really equal to judging a medicine by its cover. To really say that of all these medicines, which one would you take for headache, depending just on the cover? Because the cover looks pretty to you, so you're going to use them. It's the same with sunscreen. There is no way to judge them except on their appearance. So aesthetics is clearly a wrong way to judge a sunscreen, right? So the next way could be possibly the ingredients and the filters. But it is also very complicated here. Whatever the amount of filters you might see on your sunscreen, the efficiency of those filters is measured by the amount of ingredients the sunscreens have. And given the flaws in the way SPF is measured, the actual SPF value may not be coming from filters, but could actually be coming from the anti-inflammatories in the product, which are used for reducing redness. These can bump up the SPF factor. To say, I have a demo for you. I hope that makes sense. It is something that I thought of in trying to understand how can we, get this clearer. Demonstrate that. Now, supposing these are your two sunscreens and you have the filters in them. This is your filter. You have all the 5 filters in this, including oxybenzone. Oxybenzone is known as a hormonal disruptor, but there's a new science article which says that you have to be using oxybenzone for 277 years for it to have any hormonal disruption in your body. And this is from Lab Muffin Science, so make sure you go and have a look. So it's technically not an unsafe filter. Now here is your one sunscreen which has a few ingredients in it. What if there are enough ingredients to dilute the effect of the filters? Will this give you more protection or will this give you more protection? See, there is no way of knowing. So I hear so many reviews saying, oh my God, this has got sesame oil, this has got carrot seed oil. But do you know that they all have some kind of sun protection? The problem is that fatty acids are required in your sunscreens. But beyond a certain limit, these fatty acids can turn into free radicals when they're exposed to sun and they're exposed to light. And free radicals, as we know, can be extremely damaging to the collagen. But there's no way of knowing what is the quantity of the fatty acids or the PUFAs in your sunscreen, because there is no way you can break apart the ingredients and say this is the percentage of it available. Especially in India, where there is no hard cast rule that you have to list all the ingredients by percentages or that you have to declare all the ingredients by percentages. So judging a sunscreen by just its cover is a very hard thing in India. And here are some of the PUFAs that can be present in your sunscreen, but there's absolutely no way to make out their percentage and their efficacy in your sunscreen by just looking at the ingredient list. So just checking the ingredient list and checking out whether all the filters are there or not is just not right for the sunscreen, because the dilution of these filters can occur if the other ingredients are not in the right percentage. And there's no way for you and me, even for me, to know what is the percentage of all the other ingredients and how are they acting in diluting the filters at all. So how do you judge a sunscreen by the cover? You can't, and you shouldn't. It's a medicine, it's not a cosmetic. So the way to study the efficiency, efficacy, and safety of a sunscreen is, what's the safety of a sunscreen? Basically, how much protection is it able to give you from UVA, which is the aging radiation, or UVB, which is the burning radiation. by studying it under the Boots method. The Boots method was pioneered by the Boots company in the UK, and it's a very long run, very complicated way of actually studying the efficacy of the product and seeing how much of a UVA and UVB protection is it able to give to your skin. They study it under a spectrometer, which is specialized equipment to study the sunscreen. The spectrometer is able to look at how much radiation is passing through the filters and therefore how effective the sunscreen is. So clearly for people like you and me to judge a sunscreen just based on the aesthetics and the ingredients on the back of the pack is a very poor method. There is no way to know how efficient your sunscreen is because the effect of a bad sunscreen can only be seen after 10, 15, 20 years, right? It's not like a bad cream which will give you a rash, which will give you irritation. Some sunscreens can give you irritation, but that is of course a very mild way to judge a sunscreen. If you are on retinoids, most sunscreens will give you a little bit of irritation and burning. So there is really no way for me to judge which sunscreen is good or not. So there are only few things that I can help you with when you're picking up your sunscreen. The first thing to do is look for broad spectrum sunscreen. So they're giving you better protection. The second thing is that they are water resistant because in India we tend to sweat a lot. It's important that your sunscreen is able to withstand the sweat. The third thing that you can look for is that it has PA+++. That's 4 pluses. You can do with PA3 also, but ideally look for 4. Next, make sure that you're applying your sunscreen every 2 hours because in every 2 hours, basically the sun film gets very destabilized. It shifts around because of movement and because of sweat. And so you need to reapply it every 2 hours, especially when you're outdoors. And you have to wear a broad brim hat. You just got to do it. If you have a problem of melasma, pigmentation, you have a lot of acne, it's good to wear that. Plus the fact that it gives you protection to your skin. And also wear thick dark glasses because that protects your eye area where most of us are not able to use sunscreen. And to put the context right for physical and chemical sunscreens, basically the chemical sunscreens are called organic sunscreen only because they have carbon and hydrogen and are made of living things. And the physical sunscreens are called inorganic because they are made of non-living things. Basically they'll have more of titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. But there are a lot of new sunscreen coming in which are really hybrid, so they neither qualify for physical nor they qualify for chemical. Both the sunscreen give you same protection and are as good for your skin. They just act differently. The only suggestion I can give you from a cosmetic perspective, from a skin perspective, is that physical sunscreens work better when you have sensitive skin, whereas chemical sunscreens work better when you have acne-prone skin. The most important thing to remember is that just because you're applying sunscreen doesn't mean that it's all right for you to be under the sun. It is protecting you from the radiation, but that doesn't mean that you are still protected. You still need to make sure that your exposure to direct sunlight is as limited as possible. Then there's a question of vitamin D. Sunscreens prevent vitamin D absorption. Let's be realistic. How much sunscreen do we really apply? Do you really apply sunscreen everywhere, right down to your feet? We don't do that. And wherever there's no sunscreen, there's enough area for our skin to absorb as much vitamin D as it can. So does it affect absorption of vitamin D? It does not. It's important to work with a sunscreen that you feel comfortable with because, if it's going to be too sticky, if it's going to be too casty, then you're not going to use it. And especially the fragrance, if that kind of irritates you, you're not going to use it. It's important to just use the sunscreen. What I do is, and I've had those reservations myself, I don't like the cast obviously when I'm going for a business meeting or I'm out for an important presentation. So then I use Ultra Sheer Neutrogena, which is meant for sensitive skin, and it gives me very good finish over the makeup. So I'm able to apply it very nicely. It does not disrupt, it does not pill. Then when I am going to be outside for some time, remember it's not only the sunscreen and the fact that you're under the sun, but it's also the heat that's being generated in your body that can actually intensify the radiation or the damage of sun. So if you're playing a sport, I do horse riding. So when I'm out, I definitely use this, and it does give you a white cast, but I don't care because in the end, if I'm using that and people are laughing at me that she got a white cast, it's their problem, it's not mine. I think being older gives you the freedom of not caring about what the world thinks about you and just doing your stuff. And that's what I do. So I use this. I also use the Requil every now and then. So I might use it when I have short gaps of travel in the car and I'm going to a particular place when I'm going to be directly under the sun, then I definitely use it. The sunscreen that is really approved by the Boots method are on your screen over here. But hey, none of these brands are Instagrammable and none of these brands are what YouTubers are going to be talking about because they're not hot brands, they're not cool brands, right? They're not going to give you the hits that your video requires. But guys, sunscreen is not about cosmetic appearances, it's not about being shallow. It's about putting yourself out and saying, I need it because it's protection for your skin. You want to have great, healthy skin later into your years, you need to use a sunscreen that is verified by a stable method. And here is Neutrogena versus Kaya. It's very important to make sure that your sunscreen is very, very affordable because you're going to use a lot of it, right? This might look much better. So you get this and then you start working it in. Now it's good to go with less quantity when you are applying it because the problem is that if you have foundation and all of that, is going to get start pilling or moving out in your skin. Now this is the method that Lab Muffin suggests you use it on your makeup. It gives you a good film if you want to, but remember a lot of it also gets absorbed back in the sponge. So you need to use a lot of quantity when you are applying it on your skin. And don't forget the corners. You know, I've seen some old people's faces where they've kept everything here very intact, but there's a fall of skin happening over here because the actives and all that they haven't used over there very well. Spoon only here. So you need a full teaspoon of sunscreen. And then of course, don't forget to go into your neck and this area. And whatever little white cast is there kind of settles down towards, after about half an hour, 20 minutes. You can see that a lot of the sunscreen has gone completely in and there's absolutely no pilling. And so because it's a question of health, I trust the certified brands like Kaya, La Roche and Neutrogena, and I'm beginning to trust Requil. What are your certified sunscreens? Let me know. So please start treating your sunscreen like the medicine and not like a cosmetic. I hope you found this useful.